Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call our September 17th meeting to order. If everyone would, Mr. Bourne, you do invocation, please.
Okay, yeah. Let's go to the Father. Lord, we again thank you for this time that we can come together and just praise you and let you know how much we love you. Father, we thank you that you're a God of second chances. And Father, we know that many of us need that. And Lord, you always look after us, and we thank you for that. We know there's a lot of people in harm's way now with this flooding and this water. And Father, we just lift them folks up to you, and we lift up men and women in uniform, especially the sheriff back there and his folks. And I know that they are, and also the emergency services as well. We lift them up. We ask you for your presence and your love, and through Jesus Christ we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have the approval of the agenda.
I so move.
Okay.
First is a report on broadband, and that under new business.
On the new business, okay.
In closed session, personnel matters, and consulted with county, the attorney, relative to actual litigation.
Okay. All right, okay.
And I had one too, Madam Chair. The monthly update for the Common Regional Council, if we could just put the minutes of that meeting, which they take really good minutes, if we just put that in the informational items, will be fine.
Okay,
And if something comes up, that, you know, that we really need to talk about it, I'll bring it up.
okay.
Thank you. They were, okay.
Because the saucer was coming tonight, and she got that EPA
Oh,
done.
oh, okay.
Where she was gonna be.
Okay, I thought it was because I was supposed to report on that or something. Okay, I got you, okay. Thank you, Mr.
Working on the EPA.
Yes, that's right, I got you.
If she got it done, she was gonna be here tonight.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Roy.
Okay, you have your minutes.
Move that we receive and adopt the minutes.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. All right, before we go to delegation from the public, as Emergency Services Director, I would like to tell the community, basically, the coronavirus, the cases here in Nottaway have increased. And we need to take more care of wearing your mask, washing your hands, your social distancing. Because each day, they are increasing in Nottaway, and we don't want to go back to where we were before. And please be kind when you go in the stores and someone asks you to wear your mask. Don't get upset with them. That's from their employees. They're telling them what to do. Don't get upset with them, please. Listen to them when you go in there. It's for your good, and it's for people that are around you also. So please take that into consideration. And I know people have been talking about the time limit that we give people to speak. We agreed on that at our organizational meeting in January, and we agreed on 5 minutes. So I don't think, and some counties give 3 minutes. So we are giving more than some of the other counties are. So we are giving 5 minutes, and we have to take into consideration how many people are speaking. And then we have regular business that we have to take care of. So I would appreciate it if people in the audience would just, whatever their time is, they take their time, and please no outbreaks or outbursts from the audience. If you have any questions, we'll be glad to answer them after the meeting. Thank you. Okay, now delegation from the public. Sarah Allen. Her subject is Confederate statue.
Thank y'all for having me.
Thank you for coming.
First, I want to piggyback off the chairwoman. The COVID is rampant in this area. And I just want to extend my sincere condolences to Lewis Johnson, who lost his family member to COVID. It's a real thing. Just please be careful out here. I just want to talk about 1963, 57 years ago. Many of us are approaching that age. It hasn't been that long ago, Birmingham, Alabama, where 4 little African-American girls were killed in a church due to racism created by, extended from the legacy of the Confederate statue that has created the evil. The KKK put 15 sticks of dynamite in the bottom of the church, in the basement of the church, while these girls were getting dressed for choir, to sing in the choir. I don't really have anything else to say. We've been doing this for a while now, and it's been put to a public vote, and the moral capacity and everything has been changed into a political thing, a political grandstand, instead of a moral one. So I think if we're going to keep this legacy outside of our courthouse, I think that we should all take responsibility for promoting what the statue promotes. And it's not heritage, it's hate. It is what it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Ashley Davis.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I want to address 2 things, county resources and the Confederate statue. Starting off with the statue. Like Ms. Allen said, we already spoke on everything. We touched bases. To some people, they do view it as a heritage, and we're not asking for it to be destroyed, but to be relocated. Like she said before, a moral decision should have stayed a moral decision, not a political agenda. So we're hoping everything goes the right way and everyone moves into the way they should and just get the statue removed and relocated somewhere else. County resources, I know mostly everyone in here has social media, whether it's chair people or residents. I've seen some of the craziest backlash on social media with no respect for one another. And it's sad because we can't depend on y'all to lead us if we're talking to y'all any kind of way. We can't depend on y'all to lead us and help us as a community as a whole if our agenda isn't pure. We need help with a lot of things. Yeah, it's certain things around the courthouse that need to be fixed. That's noted. But we have children who's lacking internet access because of rain. We have single parents out here who can't get certain things they need for their kids because, yeah, they make too much, but they don't make enough, so they can't get it. I'm asking that somebody, I don't know who can, to look into resources to help some of the people in the community. Right now, COVID is spiked up by twice as much as it was. We all know that. I just want everybody to be safe, to be able to correspond and get where they need to go, to have access to getting more food. Like, for example, the kids got EBT cards. Can we look into getting more of that for the parents who's teaching virtually and not sending their kids to get 3 free meals where they got to feed them more? You know, things like that as and such that can help during this pandemic, because that still is an effect from a pandemic. But that's all I got to say. And I wish everybody the best and lead with their best knowledge. And to also residents remember that chair people are still people. So let's keep that in mind also before we blatantly get on social media or anywhere else to drag them. That's all I have to say.
Thank you,
Ms.
Ashley.
Ashley.
William Clark.
Good evening. Thanks
Good
for
evening.
having me. And first, I'd like to
acknowledge a good friend of mine that passed from the virus, and Ned Johnson. We were lifelong friends, and it's really important because I'm not gonna call her name, but I attended an event this weekend. It was crazy. 99% nobody wearing masks. I'm not calling no name, but it seemed that the people in power are scared to make the right decisions. I hope y'all can get together and put some fire behind the local officials, because we need some help. I got 2 cases on my street. I'm locked down, and it's kind of crazy. But thank you. But look, I wasn't going to speak, but I had a friend on Facebook that sent me a message from California. And it was crazy. It hit on Sarah. She was telling me how she got a Southern family that moved over that way, and how the little 17-year-old kid couldn't adjust because of racist family. And that's my problem with that statute more than anything. It's what it's teaching our kids. They can stand into a pocket and make it, but it's a new world. And I know it's something you all can do to change your opinion. Because let's be honest, right now, it's not as much racism against the statutes as hate for the other side. It's more of that than racism. And a lot of people think it because they want the statute. It's more of hate of the other side. Because the other side want it down, we want it up. And that's where you folks come in. You got to think for them, because some of them thinking for hate. They ain't thinking for racism, it's more hate. And I talk to white and black kids. I said, why you live here? Because I don't like how it is. Okay, thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clark.
Thomas Cruz?
My name is Thomas. Let me make sure. Can you hear me? Okay, good. Okay, maybe not. All right, I'll put it up there when my 5 minutes are done. My name is Thomas Cruz, and I'm a lifelong resident of Nottoway County from the 4th District. And I'm hoping to address the board tonight on 2 separate issues. And I'm hoping to do it within my allotted 5 minutes. I try to lead by example. My first issue I want to address tonight involves the monument issue that I've addressed you on in the past. I believe that it's absolutely critical that we have an open and transparent discussion around the referendum. There are a whole lot of questions raised by this board's decision to hold a referendum. For example, what date will the board recommend to the judge? Is it the goal to hold the referendum as soon as possible? Or is it to wait until after the board has found a suitable place to locate the statue? How will the referendum question be worded, and how will that determination be made? What happens if the majority of the citizens of Nottoway County vote to relocate the monument, but the board does not have a place to relocate it? Now, to be clear, I still believe that it was an act of cowardice that prompted the decision for a referendum. Using voters as a shield, putting neighbor against neighbor, is never a good idea. However, if this board determines that it wants to proceed down this path, these are just a handful of questions that I believe this board should decide before it moves ahead on this issue. The second issue I want to address tonight is regarding broadband access. Children in Nottoway County started going back to school last week, and I'm sure members of the board are hearing the same thing I'm hearing, which is that it's been a nightmare. It's abundantly clear that the internet infrastructure we have here in Nottoway County cannot adequately support what we are attempting to do with virtual learning. For health reasons, I believe it was the right decision to go virtual, but we cannot deny the situation we find ourselves in right now. Last week at the work session, several members of the board discussed the need for broadband access in Nottoway County. I am in strong support of that, and I believe it is absolutely essential that we begin moving on that immediately. That is why tonight I'm asking the board to create a committee to investigate the obstacles to Nottoway obtaining universal broadband access that is future-proofed to the highest extent possible, and then have that committee report back to the board with its findings, which should include a plan. Thank you for granting me the opportunity to speak tonight, and I send my thoughts and prayers to everyone affected by COVID-19.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Thomas.
Madam Chair, can I
Yeah.
comment on Mr. Cruz's, and I think he's got a good point. So, that committee's not a bad idea, Mr. Cruz, and I think something we need to take a look at. My wife, what she's doing is helping parents, grandparents, guardians, what do you want to call them, to help their children to get on this internet to have this virtual learning. And she said that it's really frustrating because they can hear the teacher, but like the conversation is, and the kids are really, there's some great concern that some children are going to be left behind because of this. So that's something that doing our workshops, or what do we want to do, let's really take, I don't have the solution. It's like that last mile trying to get there, but maybe you get enough brains in a room, because I think this COVID-19 is not a sprint. I think it's a marathon. I think we're going to be dealing with it for a while if we keep heading in the same direction. So thank you for your input. I just wanted, that was a good idea, great idea.
All right, thank you. Todd Tribble?
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I'd like to thank the council and for giving me an opportunity to speak this evening on something that's very near and dear to my heart. And I think that I can agree with Ms. Allen and several people that have spoke tonight on several things. But I'm here to talk about the statue also. And the statue, I'm here to talk about the preservation of history, our great country, state, and our local community here in Nottoway County. You know, we've all felt the pain, devastation, and reactions to what's been taking place what took place in the past and what is presently taking place right now across the country. We cannot erase the history, but we can learn from it, embrace it, and move forward. And I've done the historical research on Nottoway County, and I came up with some facts that just floored me. And they're going to be facts that I would say majority, including the council, probably have no clue about. And this is what I found. Nottoway County, according to the 1860 census, had a total of 6,468 African-American slaves as residents here in the county. 6,468. That's incredible. These people accounted for more than 67% of the total population in Nottoway County. There were more African-American slaves here than there were white people. And this is something that we need to recognize. You know, many of these people lived on the land, worked the land, were members of our family. They were a part of us, period. They were a part of us. And now I'm going to tell you something else too. Right here in Nottoway County, we had the highest population of slaves than any county in the Commonwealth of Virginia. There were more slaves that lived on our land right here in Nottoway County than any other location in Virginia. And, you know, these 6,468 souls that lived in our community, they worked the land, they were tradespeople, they were blacksmiths, they did agriculture, they cooked, they cleaned, they built things. We wouldn't be where we were now, today, if those slaves did not do what they did. That's a fact. And a lot of people may not want to hear it, but it's the truth. But they were, out of that 6,468, they were active participants here in the county. And probably many of them raised a lot of the white people. They took care of the babies and the children. We need to recognize it. These people are not given the respect that they so much deserve. And all of them, there's not one that I've been able to find doing research and going out looking that there's a marked grave. Not one. All the graves are unmarked. And although we may not know exactly where their graves are, we do know they lived here. They worked here. They lived with us. They were a part of us. So I feel like this is something that everybody can get behind, and I'm going to work hopefully with Miss Allen on this too. And I have a lot of respect for Sarah Allen. But the monument right here in front of the courthouse, I think it does need to be relocated. Where? This is my idea. I'm gonna ask the county to cede enough land, doesn't have to be big, to let's build a multicultural museum in this county. And there are so many people of different cultures. The Nottoway Indians, Nottawa, then changed to Nottoway.
I'm sorry, your time is up,
Okay.
but let me piggyback on you there. That's
Go ahead.
that's what we're planning on doing. We're gonna talk about that later on in the, and on the agenda.
Oh,
A
good.
multicultural museum.
Oh, that's awesome. Well,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah,
But I
and
think it's
thank you.
something that we need and we owe the recognition and respect to everybody,
Yes, sir, we do.
everybody.
I
not
fully
just a
agree.
select few.
Thank
And
you.
not just because of your skin color.
And thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you for
very
what you
much for
said.
hearing me.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I appreciate it.
Sue Yates?
It's okay, don't worry about it. I changed my mind tonight, I'm not gonna speak, but I'm gonna give this to John.
Okay.
So you had asked for some information at the last meeting. That's information I'm passing on to you,
Oh, okay,
okay?
all right.
Alan.
And I wanna thank you, sir, for that was a great presentation, and I hope that I could be privy to hear the rest of it. I'll give you my email address and send it to me. Thank you.
All right, Alan Queen?
So you already kind of addressed this to start, but I still would like to speak on it. Abraham Lincoln, at the Gettysburg Address, said, "This nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from this earth." Government of the people, by the people, and for the people. I've always held that idea to be an undeniable truth that defines our nation. With that being said, I feel the people of Nottoway County need their voice heard, and a single 5-minute time slot is not sufficient. Mayor Colburn of Blackstone does a fantastic job of moderating and allowing citizens at the Blackstone Town Council meetings to speak their opinions multiple times throughout the meeting. I am asking the Board of Supervisors to establish a second time slot of 5 minutes or 3 minutes, whatever, for the citizens at the end of the meeting, allowing more time for their voices to be heard. I thank you ahead of time for your consideration in this matter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Abbott?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
members of the board, Mr. Rourke. A couple of years ago, I used an old-fashioned saying, "The wheels of progress turn slowly," and then added that in Nottoway County, they've fallen off. Now, last Thursday, at the work session, there seemed to be a glimmer of hope. We all recognize that we haven't resolved the animal shelter. Same goes for space utilization study. How about the disbursement of EMT fire services funds? Then there is the dilapidated Blackstone School demolition. All of these should be listed under old business. They should be regulars on that part of the agenda. In the balance of my 5 minutes, I'd like to take on a couple issues. First, the animal shelter. The question, is it time to employ a second round of architects? Is there a piece of property that is a close fit that is county-owned? If not, currently, will an architect find us one? How is the land situated? Is it hilly, flat? Is there water and sewer available? Or do you need to drill a well and install septic systems? The 2± acres on 460 near Jenningstown Road, previously discussed, is a serious potential if we seek to purchase 2 to 3 acres of adjacent land. Is there a concern the dogs and cats will be upset when a train passes through? Well, I guess you'd have to ask those that live close to it, on either side of the tracks. No room for a dual septic system? Shouldn't additional land or acreage eliminate that concern? What is best? Fix what we currently own or purchase new? Is there an agreement on the shelter size? Is 7,500 square foot a bit large since 900 square foot has worked for years? Is there an understanding of total cost? That depends on square footage, doesn't it? How about 2.5 times larger for a start, or somewhere between 2,200 and 2,300 square foot? Once that is agreed, establish a cost estimate and adjust the size, larger or smaller, as appropriate. An architect fits here for certain. Maybe I should have asked if we know where all the county-owned land is located. Size, shape, immediate surrounding area. Do we already have this data? Is there a better county-owned piece of property than I've recently mentioned? The second item, how to divide up the $270,000 for emergency services, since they can't agree. I know that letter's in your package. This is a way, not the only way, just a way. Establish the total number of runs from January 1 through August 31st of this year. Break them down. Where fire equipment was involved, the structure fire, field grass or wood type fires, vehicle trash container type fires, the standard ambulance call, the COVID-19 ambulance call, other unique type of ambulance calls. Determine the total for each facility. Burkeville Fire and Rescue, Nottoway Rescue, Crew Fire, Blackstone Fire, as I've suggested. If you feel one of these actions is more involved, then give it additional weight. Develop a ratio, calculate the amount, and make the distribution. We're sitting on this money. Of course, money is a problem for the majority of issues. Now isn't the time to fuss over if it's in the bank or not. Now is the time to make decisions on what will ultimately happen, and all of those things that have been hanging on for months and months. Every issue requires board attention. Your involvement is essential. It cannot and should not be handed off 100% of the time to the county administrators and staff. They are a source of information and assistance. The decision-making starts with the 5 of you. Accountability shouldn't be a catchphrase. The monument is an issue, waiting on a decision from the district court. Please remember, there is so much more that requires action. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abbott.
Okay, we can move on to the public hearing presentations. Jim? Solar equipment tax is the first one.
At the work session, we had a presentation and a discussion about the solar equipment tax exemption, and we had an individual to request that you pass an ordinance to exempt that. I had furnished you information about the surrounding counties and what they've done, how they're taxing it, and now it's up to the board to decide if they would like to do an ordinance to exempt that. If they do not, you do not have to do anything.
Say that last part right there, Mr. Roy.
If you want to exempt it, you need to have a motion to entertain an ordinance to exempt the equipment. If you do not want to exempt it, you do not have to do anything.
When the Commissioner of Revenue presented to us what the annual revenue from taxation would be, it was less than $2,000, is that correct, or around?
That's correct. And until the reassessment, and then that'll be picked up like the others as a part of the house to that.
Madam Chair? All right, I wrote myself some notes here, basically, on the solar here, basically. Like, long-term revenue and financial stability will not come from nickel and dime proposals like this. Granted, every dollar counts, but taxing 18 individuals to bring in less than $2,000 is not the way to reach long-term financial stability. And after researching this deeper, it appears to have more downsides than up. The upside, the county collects a small amount of additional tax, but the downsides are much more numerous. It will likely deter more people from going green because they have the expense in the materials and installation for a return on lower electric bills, but taxing them would dramatically extend the amount of years it takes to break even and truly start saving money. After speaking with several insurance companies, they all have one common theme, and that is it is harder to insure those panels reasonably because it's a higher risk item for damage. Also, in the package that Mr. Rourke gave us, Dominion Power says that solar tax will hinder its goal of being fossil fuel free by 2045. And I think we could all probably agree that if Dominion misses their goals along the way and they are fine, well, they will most certainly pass those costs on to the customers as a fee increase. I think we should exempt this tax now for a period of 3 to 5 years so it is forced to be reevaluated and not allowed to slip through the cracks. But that would not be for anybody who's selling it. I don't think you exempt anybody who's in business of selling electricity. So it would be for residential uses only. That's and I was unclear about something, but on the first page it said localities offering exemptions, says Dinwiddie, but on the third page
They don't.
it says Dinwiddie assessed at $800 per panel.
That's right, we called them.
Okay, all right, so they do not exempt.
They do not exempt.
Okay, all right, so that was wrong, okay. All right. The only other thing I see with this is that raising, and it's really, it kind of comes back to this, but it gets off point a little bit. Raising a real estate tax to bring it in line with other counties are charging appears to be the only real option we have right now to fix the shortfalls that citizens are criticizing the board for. The other option for revenue would be if our economic development strategy from 18 and 19 had resulted in new business, but it hasn't. And during my campaign back in 19, it was wholeheartedly believed by most that I spoke with that a tax increase was imminent, but it wasn't done that year, nor was it done this year. So I think essentially something like this solar power right here would be asking to put a Band-Aid on a severed arm. I mean, I don't know if y'all had anything else. I'd be willing to put a motion on the floor not to, to exempt this.
We
I
need
would
to
be
have
in
some more
agreement.
discussion, I think, with
I would be in agreement to exempting it. I think considering the limited use in Nottaway at this point and the relatively minimal income that it would generate, that it would be reasonable to exempt now with the contingency that we review, as you said, on to establish a period in case at some point our search for revenues, we need to increase revenues and it becomes more widely used and would generate more, that we should reserve that right. But I would agree and be in favor of an exemption.
So I'm just asking, Madam Chair, so the thought of the exemption for 3 to 5 years to so here's my, and I guess you reevaluate. In other words, right now it's only 18 individuals. It's less than $2,000 in tax revenue. And so you look at it and say, in 3 to 5 years, is it we losing $100,000, you know, depending on. But, you know, the only thing that I tell you about solar power, and I know the governor's pushing this, but, and they keep using the term going green. Solar power's got a battery. There's nothing green about a battery. What are you gonna do with it when it's dead? You know, I work at Piedmont, and batteries are a problem. You can't just, you shouldn't just throw them in the landfill, you know? So that's the only thing about me that bothers me is like, when these people have these solar farms, when the end of life comes, what are you doing with the batteries? What are you doing with the stuff that's left over? What do you do when a hailstorm comes down and hits the glass and breaks it all to pieces? You just leave it? You know, anyway. But I'm kind of, I'm willing to exempt it for a period of time, yes. But it'd have to be a stipulation of a period of time.
Yeah.
To reevaluate and look at it and see how this going green is going. But anyway.
I would like to see it exempted, 3 years.
3 years?
Yep.
3 years.
That's fair.
Not 5, 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then we'll come back and evaluate it.
Was that your motion?
Yes, sir. I would make the motion to exempt solar power for a period of 3 years to be evaluated by the board at that time, and this is only to exempt residential.
Hold on.
Need a motion to draft an ordinance for a public hearing.
Oh,
Yeah, you got to hear what the public got to say first.
oh, okay, my bad.
I second that to draft a motion for a public hearing.
Okay, so you're changing your motion to, for a
public hearing.
public hearing
Yes,
for
ma'am.
that. So, okay, all right,
Public hearing for those stipulations, yes, ma'am.
okay. And you second, Mr. Vaughn? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Now we're going to solar farms moratorium.
The board some months ago put a moratorium on the solar power farms that Mr. Bowen was talking about, and that was to allow the General Assembly to consider it and make the laws a little more acceptable to counties. There have been some counties that have written new ordinances and have put them in place, and I just think that the board should return this to the Planning Commission, as the Planning Commission to compare what we've got to the new ordinances and recommend any changes they think before we go any further.
Okay.
We don't need a vote. Can we just refer that to the planning commission right now?
So,
Okay, so we'll refer that back to the planning commission.
So moved.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
And by the way, too, Mr. Rourke, I have gotten two people, you know, because I want the public to understand a solar farm is different than solar power on somebody's a resident's house. So, and it's kind of like what Mr. Rourke said over there. If you're selling it, that's a whole different situation. But I know there's two people have called me this week about lifting that moratorium because the solar people have contacted them for their farm, you know.
There is a farm out at Fort Pickett, I believe.
Right.
And it was put in 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, there's somebody asked for definition. I think it's the amount of, how many watts? I can't remember, 25 kilowatts is a farm above or something. I have to find out, but it is a definition. Well, the state, let me rephrase that. The state gave a definition. So, anyway.
Okay. All right. Departmental reports?
All right, Donna Bryant's report. The work schedule, the health department, their highway department's work session program was in your package. Down, Mrs. Bryant says that the refresh of the pavement marking on 723-460 intersection is complete. The stop bar on 23-360 was scheduled to be done through the plant mix contract. Lane closure of the bridge at 460 eastbound has been extended due to some unforeseen issues. They are expecting to last about 2 weeks. However, the lane closure does not appear to have any negative impact. Local maintenance areas performing safety site distance mowing. If you see any, they call 800-367 road. And they're currently making preparations for issues on the upcoming rain from Sally. one other thing that she didn't have, but they're asking us to deallocate $4,257 that was left over from the revenue sharing project, which was outside of Blackstone in Mr. Vaughn's district. And the state had 4,200, we didn't have any, we spent more than they told us, but they, $4,257 left to deallocate, and they'll put it toward another project.
We don't have to, we just can say just,
We need a motion for it? Right. Okay.
but we don't know what project it is, but it'll be a Nottaway project, right, Mr. Rock? We don't know, we don't know
Don't know
that.
where it'll go.
I didn't say that.
You didn't say that.
We
I know-
don't,
I
we
know
do
you
not
didn't
have
say
any
it.
revenue sharing program.
Yeah, I understand. I'm just
You
hoping that.
wouldn't vote for one for my district.
No, sir. I won't do that to you, Mr. Vaughn. You go ahead and put the,
I so move that we reallocate.
Second?
All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you.
All right, school board reports in your package. There are some budget adjustments. The first is preschool handicap, and this is carryover funds, $22,267.50. SPED 611B funds, $76,788.42. Title V, Part B, Rural Education, carryover, $17,642.39. And 21st Century Grant for $67,053.22. ESEA Title IV, $36,748.59. And Title III, Part A, $76,102.59. Need to approve budget adjustments for those.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve that budget adjustment for the Nottaway school system. And without repeating the numbers, it's in F2 in your package.
Okay.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
We talked, and this is not on the agenda, and I'm just going on just a minute with it, but you talked last month at the work session, I believe, about the number of students are not what they had expected to be at the school. I believe at that time it was about 300 short, and now I believe it's about half that or less. I just want you to be aware that one is $6,684 revenue, income. One, all right, add 300 to
And that represents from the state funding or?
state funding.
State and federal, I think.
Okay, state funding. $6,684 per student.
Okay.
100 would be 660,000.
If that funding is reduced, is their required minimum match reduced? Or?
Is our required minimum would be reduced according to that, but nobody ever has reduced the local funding because they have contracts and that type of thing that they have to take care of. I don't think it's going to be near what they started out at. When I talked to superintendent several days ago, they were down, I think, 153 or something.
Okay.
Well, Mr. Rogue, I want to ask this question in because that's kind of got me, that was one of the things that, it was kind of a list of things that I've kind of been concerned about, but I don't know if I don't put it down as one of the projects, but let's talk about that budget clock for a second. You know, that thing's always confusing to me. And that's what kind of concerns me. And I had a discussion with one of my friends the other day about it. So they started school, and they have they already received the money for those 300? And is it sometime all of a sudden next year we're gonna say somebody's gonna say, uh-oh, since we overpaid you 300, then we're gonna expect some more money back or something? I mean, that's what I'm trying to. You with me?
I can explain that to you.
Okay.
All right. The amount of money that you receive from state basic aid is calculated by your number of students,
Right.
average ADM. And you're paid on that estimate that you do your budget by until March. It's a magic day in March. And then it's a true-up done. In other words, if they paid you too much, they stop paying you, they start taking it back. If they have not paid you enough, then they add it to it.
Okay.
So it's going to come out at the end of the year.
So the March, when we're preparing for the next fiscal year budget, we're
They'll be
gonna know
talking
whether
about
we
this,
short,
yeah.
right, okay.
So if you know you're going to be $200,000-300,000 short, you got to start thinking about it now, because it's going to be a true up on it. So,
Yeah, a
and
lot of money.
I talked to the superintendent about that too.
Okay.
All right, the regional I did not get a report from the health department. I did not get, we will not meet the economic development meeting. And the regional jail and juvenile reports in your package, it's a juvenile report. The jail did not meet for 2 months until yesterday, and Mr. John Rourke and I heard a very dismal report from that about the condition of the jail and the talk of quite a bit more money needed to bring it up to snuff, and I think a roof is going to be needed on it in the next year or two. But they estimated $600,000 for that. So
Yes.
all right, landfill. The statement from DEQ for the annual fee, that is the fee that you're charged for the privilege of operating that landfill by the state. $2,968.84. You had an inspection report in your package, and that was no deficiency. The monthly report shows that we took in 58.95 tons a day during August. The Fort Pickett Redevelopment Authorities.
Madam Chair, Mr. Rourke, I'm sorry, I didn't know if you were finished with that report yet. I got a question on that report. All right.
On the waste report?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Reference number 20-81-140.A.17, where it lists the record maintained for the waste received and processed. Monthly waste intake records were reviewed from November 19 to July 20, below the monthly intake reports in the last inspection. On the bottom of that, the document says, the facility appears to be in compliance with their daily disposal limit of 300 tons per day.
Yes.
Okay, that brings the other question. I recall the board of supervisors saying that the convenience centers were built because they were taking 100 tons per day and cutting the life of the cells in half, and that the cells were built to handle 50 tons per day.
You're correct in all of those. But 300 tons a day is what we're allowed to put in the landfill. It's not what we were putting in there, it's what we're allowed to put in there. We were running close to 100 tons a day when we put the convenience center up. And when we first started, I believe we had, I believe we had about 100 ton a day limit and did it for 50 tons, and we had to get that allowed amount raised to 300 tons.
Okay, so, but the sales, and the reason why this is so curious to me is because, Amelia and Lunenburg, are private. And, of course I had mentioned about a waste management study, but are the sales built for 50 tons a day, or are the sales built to accommodate what they say we can
take? The cells are not built for 300 tons a day. The cells are built according to what we're taking in a 7-year period.
Okay.
You could very easily build a cell for 500 tons a day or 5,000 tons a day, but it was built according to the volume we have.
Okay. All right, thank you.
But tell them what the cost of that sale would be.
A few dollars.
All right. The Fort Pickett Redevelopment Authority is moving along quite well. There's no problems. They did not have a planning commission report. They did not meet last month. And now we have a report from a coronavirus relief committee.
Okay, Federal CARES Relief Fund Committee Report, August 20th, 2020. We continue to work through the applications received for small business assistance. To date, we have distributed $143,115.22 to these applicants. As a result of the second installment CARES funds, the county has been able to obligate funding to assist Crew Medical Center with planned enhancements to its facility to accommodate future testing ability and safe patient treatment. Just for informational purposes, Crew Medical Center is the only authorized COVID-19 testing facility in Nottaway County. And we need to give a shout out to Dr. Hall. He's been doing a fantastic
Absolutely.
job doing that, and very caring person, and he'll be the first to tell you to, COVID is real and you need to take precautions. Thank you.
Under new business, you have in your package the letter that we received from the chairman of the Nottaway County Volunteer Emergency Services Association, and it informing you that they cannot get together on the distribution of the $270,000 that you gave them extra, and they're asking the board to set the rules.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
we have a study that we're doing, the fire study. And I don't think we need to disperse until we get the results of that fire study back. So I'd like to make a motion to not disperse until after that study is
It's done.
complete.
Madam Chair, I attended that meeting with the association. It was rather heated, would be a polite statement. You'd have thought 15 people were in there fighting and not 4. But I think when you look at this and I understand how do we have any idea when that fire study might be coming back? A year.
It'll be well after the first of the year.
All right. What they did talk about in there was like a 25% split to each department, but that would put 75% going to fire, who is basically not running nowhere near the number of calls that the rescue squad is and has been doing between Burkeville and the Nottaway Emergency Squad. The current split, I believe, now with ours is, I heard 2 figures, 60-40 and 64-36. So roughly that's within the same ballpark. So if the fire study might be that far out, then we may ought to look at, I would have two options here. Number one, Blackstone has a new fire truck coming. Crew pulled out $187,000 for air packs. And I would say either we go back to that split about 65 to 35, 65% going to rescue, medical services, and then 35% going to the fire departments. And then, or either, do you know what the current split is? Is it 60-40 or 65?
I don't know. It's a formula, and we have it, and I do not know the percentage. It's 60-40.
Yeah, okay, all right, so we wouldn't be overdoing it at 65-35. But I mean, we know what the squad's been up against with the COVID calls and everything.
John, may I?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
I had the opportunity today to meet with the chairman of the association and another member of the Blackstone Fire Department. One thing they did brought up, I don't know if it's part of a consideration, is the fact that the squads get reimbursement for their costs from insurance companies, whereas the fire department is not getting the same reimbursements.
Right. Right now, the squads have spent 1.2 million, and what they've been allowed to recover is $800,000. They got a $400,000 shortfall. So that's where the fire departments do not have that shortfall, and that was part of the argument in that room. And what they're doing is, even if they go to hard billing the squad, roughly they can only recover $450 for basic life response. Right. So, yeah, I mean, they're hurting. It costs $74,000 a month to run the squad. That's what we're looking at right now. So, I don't know. I kind of look at where the need is more than just individual wants.
I want to look at some of the recommendations that the fire, and they're going to come up with some recommendations. But Mr. Bourne and I, too, have also met with emergency services. And I can't remember what day it was, September the 3rd, I believe, 3rd, 2nd or 3rd. But anyway, we met, and that's why I'm asking that we not take any action until we get this report.
Well, I think the clerk.
We're going to make some recommendations.
Yeah, but the clerk, what we're concerned about, Mr. Vaughn, is that the clock on that will be, it sounds like the report won't come, they need the money now. We usually give it to them in March, that's right?
We could,
Now, this is money,
if you want to hold this money, we could go on and distribute our regular money to them.
right,
The decal money.
yeah. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the 3%.
Right, you're talking about the $270,000.
Right, exactly.
But suppose the report don't come out until July.
They haven't been getting this money.
No, but we've told them they're getting it.
Yeah, we've told them.
We've told them we're getting it. So we're gonna have to do something.
It's been
Miss Shackleton brought a good point up with they get reimbursed. We heard Mr. Abbott tonight too. You may have to. We really need to look at. We do need to look at what kind of services that. What's changed over the years? What kind of services? What's the percentage of fire calls compared to? We got to take a look at that. But listen, guys, we don't want to divide the emergency services up anyway with our decision of let's say we sit here and we bicker among ourselves, and then that could be contagious with the people that we are counting on when we dial 911. Mr. Vaughn, why don't we still have another meeting and sit down with get some true figures, some true numbers, and some things that we heard tonight, and maybe have a committee meeting first, and then we'll have a discussion about it in one of the work sessions coming up. Would that be fair to do that?
If you look at the area, and that's the way they used to look at it.
Right.
Many years ago.
Right.
They looked at the area, and the Blackstone served a larger area, so consequently, Blackstone got a larger share of money. That was before the Burkeville Emergency Services ambulance type thing. And one of the departments heads, well, all of the department heads got together, emergency service got together and said that we're going to split it among the 4. They decided to do that, but the towns were not necessarily happy with that division.
Right, that's right.
And so consequently, that's what you have now.
One other thing to keep in mind.
It's going to be some recommendations coming from that fire report. Some of them we're going to like, and some we're not going to like. I'm going to tell you that now.
What'd you say, Lynn?
One other thing to keep in mind is that the Nottoway Emergency Squad with the contract with Fast C, that represents a pretty substantial monthly revenue to them. Is it around, do you know, John, is it around $9,000 a month?
It was, yeah, it's somewhere like that, but that does not, that only takes care of the hired personnel for that location. They do not use Nottaway's ambulances. They bought, I believe it was 3 used units and put them out there. So none of that funding has literally come out of the pot for Nottaway.
And so, Ms. Shackleton, I did ask that question when I met with the, when we met with the, we call them first responders. That was the emergency squad and the Burkeville emergency. And I point blank asked the question to one of the leadership to the emergency squad. I said, did you contract with FASC to survive and make money, to survive? And the answer came back, we saw an opportunity. And because what concerns me is, have we caused our Nottaway Emergency Squad to go and seek out funding somewhere else because we're underfunding them? That's why I asked the question. But anyway.
Keep in mind, Mr. Bourne, some years ago, we gave the emergency squad permission to bill.
Yeah.
So they can bill.
Who set the original?
And they do bill.
Yeah. And what is that term they use, Steve, about,
The recovery, funding recovery, is that what you're talking?
no, it's a different term they use as far as like, somebody might be in horrible shape, so they don't bill them. You know, their living situation. I can't remember the term it's used, like some sort of conscious billing or something like that. And that's what they're talking about. They're not hard billing. They're not billing everybody because can't everybody afford it.
Yeah.
And a lot of this stuff where they do send bills, if they don't pay it, it's okay. You know, they don't even pursue it. I don't know that they've ever taken anybody to court or anything like that to recover. So.
It's called compassionate billing.
That's it. That's the word I'm looking for, compassionate billing.
Yeah, it's anyway, Madam Chair, I think, did you put a motion on the floor? I didn't.
I most certainly did. See, this is money they haven't been getting. We can disperse what they've normally gotten through decals and things like that, and then wait until the study comes and then disperse the $270,000.
What you saying, Mr. Rowe?
We can disperse the money we give normally, other than the decal money. We haven't collected decal money to a tax.
To tax time.
And what they get from that is based on what's collected.
Right.
But we can, I think we give $125,000.
That's right.
I believe that's 50, then 275, 25 to each fire department, and 40 to the rescue squad, and 10 to the Buckville Rescue. I believe that's what they did.
65, 40, yeah.
Okay. Do we have a motion on the floor from Mr. Vaughn?
COVID is a big part of this, though, and that is a different dynamic that is causing more calls, and you're saying the numbers are growing, so they do need the money now.
Okay, so
Mr.
what
Bowen,
y'all want to do?
agree with you that we did make the commitment to them, so
To give them the money,
the assumption
yes.
would be that, from their assumption, I would think, would be that they were going to receive the money. I didn't realize, Mr. Vaughn, I had earlier said I thought waiting till after the fire study was a good idea, but I didn't realize that it could be so far down the road.
Right.
You know, we heard tonight that sometimes we got to make, I like what Jack Green used to say, the buck stops here, buddy. So we got to make the decision. And
Well, Madam Chair, I'd like to, if I may, I'd like to offer a counter motion to go ahead and disperse the funds at the 60-40 or the 65-35, whatever the current rate is, to split to the departments immediately.
Madam Chair, I think you got to kill that other motion first before you have another one.
Okay. You rescinding your motion, Mr. Vaughn, since we have another motion on the floor. We have two motions on the floor, and we can't have but one.
I'll withdraw my motion.
You're gonna withdraw, okay.
His motion didn't have a second anyway.
Okay, so now we have a motion on the floor.
Repeat that motion, Mr. Rowe.
To go ahead and disperse the money at the current split rate whether that be the 60-40 or 65-35, that would be dependent upon the split rate that the county administrator has on record, and go ahead and disperse the funds immediately.
The 270,000.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
May I comment?
Yes.
John, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit, but I just feel like with us not knowing, as you said, the numbers, the call records, the look at the budgets, the financial statements, I wonder if it's beyond our realm. I see what you're saying, and I think there's a basis to what you're saying. I probably would be more in favor of an equal split among the departments. So if I vote, it's just because I don't know the actual numbers.
Right.
I don't mean
And I was basing that off of the agreement that they currently have.
well, that makes, that's logical.
Madam Chair, could we have a parliamentary inquiry, please? A motion's on the floor. If it doesn't have a second, the motion should die, or there needs to be a second before discussion, please, according to your Robert's Rules of Orders that you
The
follow.
motion did die with
Thank you.
Mr. Vaughn.
I withdrew
He
my
No,
motion.
you withdrew yours.
Yes.
He has a motion. There was never a second before the discussion started. All I'm asking is that you follow your rules, your Robert Rules of Orders that the board says they're going to follow.
Well, we still haven't had a second, Mr. Abbott, so
Then-
Ms.
then
Shackleton
you
had a
should
question.
declare the motion dead and move on.
It's dead because he didn't got a second.
Okay, well, we're moving on then.
Madam Chair,
Do you
so
want to-
We still,
do you
at
want
some point.
I want Mr. Vaughn and myself, the committee, to get together
Okay,
and get some true numbers.
Yes.
And then we'll have a discussion. This is the very thing that I don't want to happen. I want us to be on target of what we're gonna do for these emergency services, and don't split them guys and ladies up, okay?
split 'em.
This is this is why I wanted to move in the direction I
Gotcha.
wanted to move.
Okay, so the committee will meet and they will come back with a recommendation after
Right.
they meet.
And that committee is,
Steve Bourne and Sherman Vaughn.
okay.
And we'll try, instead of dropping a bomb on the group, on the BOS before the meeting, if whatever numbers we come up, we share with the board as soon as possible, Mr. Roy, you with me? So they know what we're looking at, okay?
Okay,
Right?
all right.
You have a selective service grant, and selective enforcement grant of 8680 for the sheriff. You need a motion to approve and appropriate the money.
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Mr. Rourke, Madam Chair, there was a second letter for the emergency services in here as well?
It was two.
Yes, about the Coronavirus Relief Funds Committee that they had sent?
No, we had the appropriation for the CAS relief funds for the electoral board.
No, the letter
No.
from the emergency services.
H1, Mr. Roy.
H1.
It's part of H1.
The association held that bi-monthly meeting.
Madam Chair? If it
Yes.
pleases the board, I was able to get some information today about what their request involves, and I could
Sure.
develop a memo to our committee for
Okay.
consideration.
Okay.
If that-
And we can meet later on it. Okay, all right.
Well, Madam Chair, just for the record, if y'all, if it would be an agreement, the letter about the radio communications that we're speaking about, if that money is, from the CARES, is applicable, and this come up at the PRJ2 meeting, if we give it to them by the December 30th or 31st deadline, how long do they have before they have to spend it? Reason why I ask that is because I believe when we get into building the new sheriff's office, that we could integrate a full upgrade to the communication system at that time. If the CARES money can go towards that, it would be great as well. And even if later on, if it's done with a loan or something, as long as that loan's being paid, can that CARES money be pushed over to it? So it's just kind of some food for thought on that, because I think that would be a good time, because I believe that system hasn't been touched for at least 15 years of
For the sheriff
communication.
department?
No, the communication system
so-
that's out that
Out,
the association,
okay.
yeah, that the association is talking about.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, that might be a good idea to incorporate the money for that along with the sheriff's office.
We'll talk, Lynn and I'll talk about it. Okay,
I think the committee, at the work session, talked about the committee would look into that. All right, we at the CARES relief funds now. For the electoral board, $52,583. This has nothing to do with the county's money. This is an appropriation from the State Board of Elections to the electoral board, and they will handle it. You have to appropriate it. They will handle it and make sure that it complies with the rules.
it's CARES money from the electoral.
Yeah, Madam Chair, so the public, kind of get an idea, this is for the voting registrar's office, right? And I see
I think she can do a number of things with it and buy things that
Stuart,
she needs.
Would you like to say something?
Yeah.
I want to tell y'all, good evening to everyone,
Good
Mr.
evening.
Ward, members of the board.
Let's do it.
What everyone doesn't want to hear, the election community's the last one that got anything addressed with COVID and being on the front lines. I've got 9,556 registered voters here in Nottoway County. 26 of them walked through my door today. I've got 856 envelopes sitting on my desk that we can't touch because someone has licked them. We got to have staffing. This money's for COVID-19, the protection of my staff, my vendors, my electoral board, and my voters. I have ordered tents for curbside voting. We're going to have drop boxes with doorbells. I'm trying to keep everyone in Nottoway County safe from COVID-19 so that we're not cross-contacting so much.
Right.
And this is what this money's allotted for, extra equipment, extra staff. We now have to pay for return postage for everyone to return those ballots. All this money covers that.
Okay.
Ms. Stewart, we talked about, just so you know, we talked about this at the CRC, pretty lengthy meeting the other day. And one thing that I'm just asking you, because I like for the public to kind of understand it, because I had a hard time, some things we don't think about. But the conversation came up where, it's like at 12 o'clock a certain time, no more mail-in ballots can be taken.
No, y'all are confused.
Well, wait a minute, unconfuse me, because that's what we said at 12 o'clock, the post office, if they don't have it, it cuts off. That's what they said at a certain time.
Anything that's postmarked by the election, on election day, the electoral board was extended 3 more days till Friday at noon to count them.
Okay,
There was
so after 12 noon, if the post office calls you, goes, well, we got another bag back here.
Right, as
What do
long
you-
as they're postmarked,
Okay.
they will count. What the law provided was the 3 extra days that our electoral board members will be sitting to count those ballots.
I got you.
We'll
Okay.
go ahead and certify the day after the election, but it will not be complete till Friday afternoon. We cannot complete the canvass till Friday afternoon.
And it have to,
Any more questions about the COVID, what else we can do? We're doing everything, shields, masks, we're providing them. I have to protect my voters, but I also have to protect my officers.
and will they be able to go outside? If somebody don't want to come inside?
Right, we're
Yep.
gonna have drop boxes.
That's what you mean by the
They
drop
can-
box?
Right, and they
Okay.
would securely put them in there, and
Okay.
I'm gonna personally pick them up.
All right.
It's not gonna go to it's got a chain of command.
Okay.
And everyone will be given their own private ink pen. We're trying desperately to keep our citizens safe, and that's what it's all about.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Please don't give that pink pen.
Match his shirt.
Okay.
We need a motion
Motion.
to give Registrar's Office the funding that's, I'm trying to find it, I know it's down here
It's at the
somewhere.
bottom, appropriation for,
$52,583. I make that motion.
all in favor?
Add on that, I've applied for another grant that's coming right behind this
I figured you weren't over with yet. You know. All right, who got?
Okay. All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you.
All right, broadband, report.
Oh, okay. Well, the first thing I'll tell y'all is a scary number. They're talking 10 years, which we talked about that at the work session.
Right.
But done a little bit more digging. And the guy's name is Sam, and I, for the life of me, cannot pronounce his last name. I think they misspelled it when they sent it to me. But anyway, at this point in the year, the opportunities Nottoway has to apply for new grants are limited. However, I have some existing funding sources that the county may be able to repurpose for building out broadband access in the county. I'll also be providing some information regarding grant programs that the county is eligible for and could apply for next year. While these solutions are less than ideal, I will continue to fight to get additional funding in our schools and businesses that would be available to use to expand broadband access in the next COVID package. While a package hasn't been negotiated yet, I'm optimistic that one could be announced in the coming weeks. I would include this direct funding. If so, the county may elect to use those funds for broadband. And a few existing sources here is the CARES Funding Act. Some of the funding provided to the county by Virginia under the CARES Act could be utilized for broadband expansion if it could be tied directly to the response to the public health emergency or distance learning necessitated by the public health emergency. However, current statute dictates that this funding be spent by the end of the year. State representatives are pushing to expand the deadline for the use of this money, and I'm optimistic that an extension would be included in a COVID relief package later this month. Nottoway is also eligible for funds under the Tobacco Commission's revitalization program through the Southern Virginia Region for Economic Development, including broadband. Currently, Nottoway has a grant that is pending from a July 2020 deadline for a gasification project. It may be possible to repurpose these funds. Grants that have passed for this year, but Nottoway would be eligible for in the future. The USDA Reconnect funds, the Reconnect grants, grant and loan combinations, and low-interest loans can be used to construct, improve, and acquire facilities that provide internet services to customers' premises with reliable technologies that are suitable for the type of rural community and the type of high-speed internet use. Reconnect applications are typically due in March. Virginia Telecommunication Initiative, which is VITA, unfortunately, the FY21 application window closed in mid-August, but Nottoway is eligible for funds under the VITA program through the state. VITA provides funds to help localities in Virginia extend broadband service to currently unserved areas. USDA distant learning and telemedicine grants. The distant learning and telemedicine grant programs helps rural communities use the unique capabilities of telecommunications to connect to each other and to the world, overcoming the effects of remoteness and low population density. The program's grant window typically closes in July. Evan Feenman, the Chief Broadband Advisor for Governor Northam, he's extremely knowledgeable about opportunities for broadband funding available at the state level. I'll be reaching out to him as we consider all options moving forward. And finally, I want to recommend both the U.S. broadband website through NTIA, which has a wealth of knowledge and information about grants that Nottoway could be eligible for. So that's what I dug up recently, and it's kind of hard to get the information from the state reps because so many of them are fighting in an election right now. So them getting back to you is a bit of a challenge, but that's what I've been able to dig up so far.
Okay.
John, just curious, you said it's going to probably be 10 years, and I've heard that number too. So let's talk about the word broadband for a minute. When they're saying broadband, would they, is that trying to, I know it's impossible to get fiber optic to 1605 Orchard Road. You know, that's just a lot of money to bring in. You know, people don't even do landlines anymore. So what I'm trying to figure out is when they're talking about broadband, are they talking about like trying to make hotspots and things like that? Increase those numbers? I mean, that's what I'm trying to
when I
get wrapped
asked
around
them
my head.
about that, they told me that currently right now that the towers that we have, in other words, I asked them, I said, the towers that Nottoway have scattered out can we utilize them?
The one's already there.
Yes.
Right, right.
And unequivocally, the answer was no. They just don't have anything strong enough to send enough from individual hotspots to cover a wide range that's going to be overlapping.
So it would have to be a specialized tower, I
Yes.
guess you have to say.
That's
You
what
can't
it-
just
that's
put it
what
like
it
on
sounds
top of a water tank or nothing like that? Man, okay. That's what I could never, can't never get that wrapped around my head.
And that was in the virtual meeting that had Spanberger, Evan. It was about I think it was about 26 of them in that meeting, and it wasn't very informative. It wasn't very good outlook.
Okay. All right. Reports and requests, recommendations from constitutional officers. Ms. Brown, Jane Brown, Sheriff Jones, you have anything?
Yes, ma'am. First of all, I'd just like to thank the board for letting me appropriate monies from, pretty much funding leftover monies from last year for the 2 deputies that I wanted to get 24-hour coverage. As of September 1st, Nottaway County does have 24-hour coverage. We got those 2 deputies, they're certified, they're trained, they're on the road, and we have 24-hour coverage.
All right.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Very good. Thank you, Sheriff Jones. Ellen Meyer, Treasurer. Christy Hudson, Commissioner of Revenue. Leanne, you have anything? Commonwealth Attorney.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello.
Just wanted to give the board an update. Hopefully, they will be fixing the water and mold issue starting tomorrow, but with this weather outside, I'm wondering if we might have yet another delay. They were supposed to be here 2 weeks ago Friday, showed up, and we had some issues with the plans. The plans had things in places that neither Mr. Wark nor I thought they were supposed to go, including what I was told, a 4-foot by 4-foot sump pump in the smallest attorney's office. So that would not have worked very well. The gentleman came out, looked at things again. We have new plans, and hopefully tomorrow we will finally get this started. So the office is closed tomorrow. I've posted my cell phone online if anyone needs anything, but they're going to be jackhammering into concrete, so I didn't think that would be a very good work environment. So hopefully at the next meeting I'll be able to update you that everything went well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your patience.
Yes, absolutely.
Sorry.
Consent calendar.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the consent calendar.
Okay,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Information items. Mr. Rourke?
Yes, ma'am. The, several things, I'm sorry, but for me, I didn't put on the agenda, but they're just talking things for me. Our office and the board continue to be under attack. We're getting emails, telephone calls, questions, and that thing constantly. We had 29 different documents to respond on the FOIA since our last board meeting, and I believe that's exactly the same number that we had then. Someone, or the fire marshal, a complaint came into the fire marshal, and he came in on our office. He came and looked at the office, and we had some boxes we'd been boxing up last year's files and putting them for storage, and they were in the aisles, and one was in a door, and we got to move them. And they got one fire extinguisher or something between that, and we got to replace two extension cords, and that was it. So, all right, today we had another inspection. This went on to the General District Court, and we have got to do some work on the alarm system in this building, and that will be started early next week.
Okay.
The petition that goes to the court for the judge's approval on the probably will be scheduled for the next general election, but it's at the court waiting for his signature.
Okay.
Rugby Environmental is going to be here to inspect the old registrar's office on Tuesday for asbestos, and as soon as that is cleared, we will proceed with demolishing the building. We had a request from someone to provide them information, and I told them that I would provide it this evening, and I don't think that person is here, so I'll skip that and I'll provide it when she is here. So,
All right.
okay? You had in your package the building inspector's report and the animal control officer's report. The old red truck for the animal control officer has been taken out of services for animal control and put in service at the landfill. And when we put it at the landfill, it had 266,919 miles on it.
It's just getting broke in.
Yeah, but it's pretty well broke in.
Okay.
You have a letter in your package from Mr. Process, and he's asking for permission to go ahead and redo the county website. The complete redo at $4,920. I think it's overdue, and we should go on and completely redo it.
Okay, may I have a motion for that? Redo the website for the county? 4920, you said?
4,920, and we're gonna use the board's discretionary fund to pay for that. It won't take any more money to appropriate more money.
Okay. Just a discussion matter, just, if I could ask Mr. Process, so we have to hire somebody to come in and do our web, change our web, is that how we have to do it?
We work with Blair Marketing in
Yeah.
Lynchburg, and what we would do, we would meet with them, or they would meet with us, and we would go over what we were able to do, and they would provide the technical services to get it done.
Have they given you a scope of work for this 4,900?
Basically, it's using the same format that we have now, but updated, all updated, updated information, updated look, the whole 9 yards. That particular website has been the one we've used since the very beginning, which would be really about 20 years ago.
I got you, okay.
Now, having said that, though, we make updates to the website literally almost every week.
Yeah, we do every week.
But we're talking about now just the overall, basically rebranding of.
Yeah, I got you.
All right, here comes the bad guy. That price sounds high. And the reason why I say that's because I can build a website. It don't cost me anything. Should we be getting estimates on that from other providers?
Any more questions?
We've done business with Blair before, is that right?
Blair actually does the video that we're doing right now.
Oh. I don't know, the IT stuff, I don't know what it costs, man, it's just, that's why I kind of mentioned in that workshop, I said, can we have shared servers with the IT person, because I get it, man, you can put money in, and so we're basically taking I want to use this word, they're going to redesign our website, that's what I'm hearing, just about, okay.
Can I say something? That's my background. And if you're using the same platform, actually what you're doing is upgrading the graphics and the interface, the GUI, and you're supplementing pictures, that's uploading a JPEG. To me, honestly, sir, from selling software for 15 years, that's quite high.
Okay. All right, what do y'all want to do?
Madam Chair, I'd like to put a motion on the floor for RFP to get some competitive pricing.
Okay, I don't hear a second, so I guess that
Trying to figure this thing out.
dies.
I'm reading that, I don't know what things cost.
You want to
We need to get it fixed, it's obvious we need to get it.
It does need
By the
updating.
way, Mr. Process, I love the theme of Nottaway County where heroes are trained with FASC, Pickett, Piedmont Hospital, nursing, and DOC, that is really what fits Nottaway.
Every single department webpage will be changed.
Okay.
But you're using the same platform. It's just a matter of changing HTML.
I mean, I agree that it needs to be updated, I'm just talking about pricing.
Well, what we'll do is, we'll just, bring it back. The motion died because we didn't have a second. So we'll just bring it back,
Yes, ma'am.
next month. So we're gonna table it right now and bring it back.
Can I back up?
Yes,
I did
yes.
not realize,
Yes, ma'am, hold on, Mr. Roy. You have a question?
So, Mr. Bowman said doesn't know how much that kind of stuff costs. One way to find out how much it costs is to put out an RFP and let them tell you how much it costs.
That's why we'll bring it back next,
Idea was,
we'll bring it back next month and talk about it. Thank you.
okay,
Go on, Mr. Roy.
ready to go?
Yes.
I did not realize, I couldn't see behind me, but I do need to make this report. I told her I would make
Oh, okay,
tonight,
okay.
All right, and she says that during the September 10th workshop, each supervisor listed priorities, and that is correct, and said Supervisor Bowen's first priority was an excellent one, and we're getting some information about those priorities and come back. And she also asked to include outstanding action items on these priorities, but the priorities need to be a goal, and these are going on now. So she asked about the land study for animal shelter and what properties were considered and why they were discounted. There's been 2 properties considered at Burkeville. They're still under consideration, and the property up at Cherry Tree Crossing was discounted because of its depth. You could not meet the setback. The RFC compensation study, outstanding action items such as pay grade changes, items that were proposed to be delivered that were not, and why. The compensation study was done by a previous board. The previous board was evidently satisfied with the results. They have billed us and we have paid them, and as far as we're concerned, as far as they're concerned, the study is finished. Space utilization study, the next step, it is in limbo right now until something gets better in this pandemic. So, fire study referred to at last workshop, that'll be at least a year before it is completed. We're in line, but they got others in front of us. The employee evaluation RFP status, that is, and cost, that is being prepared by Robertson Farmer Cox. It's not on an RFP, and there'll be no cost. And I don't think there'll be any cost. They haven't told us there'll be any cost. And any outstanding RFP and RFQs, and to which vendors they were sent. We have one outstanding RFP, I think it is, and that was for the rewrite of the personnel policy. We advertised it in the Richmond Times-Dispatch, and we sent a proposal to everyone that responded, and there was quite a large number of them. I don't know the number, but it's a large number, but every one of them got the RFP. And there are no new ones sent out until Mr. Rourke made his motion a few minutes ago. There are no others to be put out. Supervisor Shackleton's list included reporting on county finances year-to-date and year-to-year. And I have talked to Supervisor Shackleton 2 or 3 times since then about this. I talked to the finance director, and we are in the process of designing a form to do just that. Lastly, County 19 under County Letterhead, a list of committees unloaded to the website. That is true, and they were uploaded again today. So it's there on there. In your package, you had a letter from the governor's office, Auditor of Public Accounts, and they said that our constitutional officer handled their collections and remittances as required by law.
Okay.
This letter from James W. Elliott, he was a tax collection attorney, and they held an auction in the courthouse a few weeks ago, and following bid for the parcel was insufficient to pay all outstanding taxes and court costs. County has the option to reject this bid and attempt to resell the parcel for a higher bid, or accept this bid and subsidize the sale. In the case of Curtis Watson, a bid of $5,600 was received from Kathy Parker. Property has an assessed value of $6,400. If this bid is accepted, the county will recover all of the costs previously paid at $272.60. County will receive $672.57 as payment toward the unpaid tax lien of $3107.93, and will not be required to make any additional contribution to their outstanding taxes. Liens due to the town of Crew in the amount of $3654.83 will get their proportionate share. This was the highest tax sale anybody has seen that had been going to them for any time, and I don't believe you will ever get a price higher than that for that piece of property.
Puts it back on a tax.
Madam Chair, I'd put a motion on the floor to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, Ms. Rowe.
You had a letter in your package from the electoral board. It's Carolyn Davis, Tony Burgess, and Sonny Abbott, and they are asking for some assistance from the Board of Supervisors in paying an additional stipend to those citizens who work, officers that worked for the election in this year. And I believe that would be an allowed cost on the COVID-19 electoral board part of it. And I think Mr. Abbott is here and the registrar is here, and they can speak to this. They were asking, I don't know how many officers have. How many officers?
More than 45.
45.
55 officers.
55, okay.
And you said this would be allowable under this was
COVID?
separate from the county's COVID, this is
Yes.
the electoral board?
We're talking
yeah.
about the 52,000.
If you noticed on TV, all the localities are paying hazard pay for those officers out there on the front line.
This is not included in the 52, is that correct?
52,000.
This is not included in the 52,000, is that correct? This is additional, okay.
This is additional
does
that
it
will
come
come out of
from?
the COVID funds
But
that
this
the
came
county
from the
has.
electoral, state board of
No,
elections.
I mean, if it's not coming out of that grant, where does it come from?
She's getting another grant that's.
A different grant, okay.
Gonna become, okay,
I so move.
okay.
I so move we grant it.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
All right,
Oh, did we need to set a dollar value on that?
you do.
Yes.
Okay. said
If I
25
may, could I,
It says from 25 to 100 they have suggested on here for each
The
person.
number went from 25 to 100 basically because of the unknown, the total number of employees and the amount of money that we might have available to us. Chesterfield is paying their workers $100. And that seems to be a common thread throughout the Commonwealth of those that are paying that we know of.
That's an additional 100 to what they normally get.
What they normally get, okay.
Dinwiddie's paying 200. I think Amelia is 175. So we need to fall in line somewhere.
In
Of course,
between.
our chief officers make more.
I would be okay with the 100 if that's where it's in line then.
I agree.
Okay, $100 then, that would be the,
Well, that would be left up to the electoral board,
but we have to give them up.
the 100.
now.
So my motion was to give them the maximum, the $100.
Okay.
And if they want to,
That should work.
Up to 100,
yeah.
okay.
Okay, oh,
All right.
okay, cool.
Okay,
Thank you for that, too.
Motion and second.
yes. Motion, may I have a
$100.
motion for the $100, please?
Yes, ma'am, to have the fee increased to $100.
I can second. John, you second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
All right, you have a bill for tax collection for $4,089.80. Need a motion to pay that.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
And a letter from Mr. Leonard K. Hewitt. Mr. Hewitt got a building permit and paid the building permit fee and was well on his way to start building his home. And then he and the contractor didn't see eye to eye, and he had to get another contractor. So we got another building permit from that contractor. So the one that he's not using is $439.62. He is building a house in our county, and he would like a refund of that building permit fee.
Have you run across this in the past?
Not that he had two permits. Normally, if they don't build the house, we'll refund him 90%. But this one, this is different because he paid another building permit fee and
But he is moving forward with the house.
Sir?
He is moving forward with the construction. I put a motion on the floor to reimburse him then for the,
$439.62.
Yes, ma'am.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
All right, Madam Chairman, I've got several things,
Closed session.
four things that need to be discussed in closed section. Under 2.23711A3, possible sale of public property, and that property is in District 1. And under 2.23711A6, discussion of the RFQs on the architectural services of the animal shelter. 2.23711A1, personnel, and that will involve personnel in Sheriff's Department and the Registrar's Office. And section 2.23711A7, consulting with attorney on actual litigation. Since I did this and got ready to come here, the attorney has called me and said he was sick, having chills, and he's at home, and we'll have to confer with him on the telephone.
Okay. Okay, may I have a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Second, to discuss.
Going to exec. Okay, go right on.
Yeah, 2.23711A. It was 3 different sections. All in favor? Aye.
Try that, you want to take that one? That might help.
Just think I swallowed it wrong.
Let's keep in touch.
Oh, thanks, Tom. Thank you, Steve. I swallowed wrong and it just almost choked myself.
You almost got choked, didn't you?
Steve, we'll have to meet one day. Give me a call.
Yeah. We'll figure out.
I was trying to avoid that.
I know, man, but I don't think our study gonna get here in time enough. What I heard Ronnie said, we were like in line with the study. We ain't gonna get it.
Not if it's next year sometime.
Well, either way you go, someone's not gonna be happy.
Should we keep the formula the same? I don't know, man.
You want to be fair. You don't want nobody
Right.
upset. And especially we need them. We don't need them upset with us. No.
That's why I had them decks. What was going on with me?
No, I got ready to talk and I couldn't talk.
The electoral order is basically established by the state. The state, you're a Democratic governor, you have 2 Democrats and a Republican. I happen to be a Republican. The 2 Democrats